Hello and welcome back to your favorite Thursday show at 6:30, Spitballing, starring me and my co-star Jeremy. I should say my employee Jeremy. Today we have some interesting topics. Steve Nash out, Ime Udoka in, the Nets free-falling, the Knicks just as mid as we thought, the Islanders surging, the Phillies no hit. Where do you want to start?
So first I'll start out with the phone number. Guys, the number is, as always,
That wasn't one of my suggestions.
607-777-2137. That's 607-777-2137. All right, Cole, let's get started with the Brooklyn Nets. What a poop show it's been over there in Brooklyn, all right? As a Nets fan, this is very, very concerning. Ben Simmons will not be traveling with the Nets on their upcoming road stand. And he has knee soreness. Steve Nash fired after 7 games. Ime Udoka coming in as the head coach after the whole thing with Boston.
Did they make that official, or is that still a question mark?
Still a question mark, but Woj and Shams said that he's the front runner.
See, if I was Boston, I would have been like, yeah, you can have Udoka for a second-round pick. Trade him like they did with Doc Rivers. Don't just give him up for nothing.
Well, I think they don't want any more ties to Udoka, if I'm being honest.
Would you rather have more ties to Udoka or Josh Primo? Which one's worse?
I think Primo,
Definitely worse. Oh my goodness, that whole thing.
The Primo thing, his attorney said that there was fully clothing on and nothing happened. Like, it wasn't like a Deshaun Watson speculation. Like, this is just what the reports are saying. There's still a lot to be unraveled with that, so we'll see.
We'll see. But anyway, back to the Nets free fall.
It's really concerning. I mean, Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving are both playing very, very well. And we just look absolutely lost out there. Obviously, we knew we were going to be an offensive team. We knew there wasn't going to be that much defense. But the defense is a non-factor completely. Like, it is just non-existent. No one is playing defense. Ben Simmons is playing defense, yes, and he's playing decent-ish defense. But he's also just all over the place. He's fouling out half the games. It's too much. Now he's hurt. So now it's just KD and Kyrie, and this team just looks like it has a lot of holes. Obviously, you have KD, Kyrie, that's going to carry you to an extent, but we're seeing a real collapse here of the Brooklyn Nets, and I'm definitely concerned as a fan.
Well, is basketball even now the top priority in Brooklyn with the whole Kyrie controversy? Like, when can they finally put everything behind them and focus on basketball? Because this whole Kyrie controversy is just a whole nother thing in the long line of what do I call it? Kyrie missteps or Kyrie mess-ups? I think Kyrie Irving needs to pick one. Are you going to be someone who's a spiritual leader, going to tell people what to do this, or are you a basketball player? Because he's trying to do both, and he's getting himself into hot water with some very, very insensitive comments, anti-Semitic comments. Mm-hmm. If I was a Net fan, I'd find Kyrie Irving very, very hard to root for.
I mean, to be fair, as a Nets fan right now, I really don't have any respect for Kyrie Irving, like, in the slightest. Obviously, the stuff with the vaccine, all right, I wanted him to play, but anti-Semitic comments. And then he was asked about it today, actually, and he didn't.
He never seems like remorseful, like he realized he messed up.
He didn't apologize for it, and he didn't deny comments, like
because he still believes it, because he didn't.
Yeah, but he knows he can't. I mean, he already did say it publicly, but he knows he can't say it again publicly. I've lost a lot of respect for Kyrie, but the honest factor is that does not impact how well of a basketball team the Brooklyn Nets are. Like, he's still playing well, and so is Kevin Durant. It might impact, like, the environment around him, but on the actual court, it's not really having the biggest impact. And listen, we started out, like, bad to the season before he said these comments. So I don't think that has anything to really do with how the Nets are playing. I think a decent factor was the coaching. I'm glad Steve Nash is gone. I wanted him gone last year.
Yeah, but Steve Nash is not a good coach. I'll give you that. But the guy in his, 3-year tenure in Brooklyn had to deal with Kevin Durant missing the entire first year, a COVID pause, Kyrie Irving missing most of the second year, James Harden and Kevin Durant and Kyrie having that whole crazy no chemistry where they only played 13 games together, and then Kyrie Irving taking breaks. Like, he really never got a fair chance where the eyes weren't on him, where it was just the 3 stars out there. He always had something going on.
I agree. The team was never able to really get into full swing of things and get a lot of momentum like we see some other teams get. But at the same time, you have Kevin Durant, you have Kyrie Irving, at one point you have James Harden. Like, these aren't just good players. Like, these are top 10 players in the league, and you can't even get to the finals. We got swept in the first round last year. That's not acceptable.
LeBron could do it with JR and Kevin Love.
KD and Kyrie, You should not be getting. You shouldn't be losing in the first round, let alone getting swept in the first round. Now, yes, we saw.
You shouldn't have been in the play-in.
We saw. That's another thing. We shouldn't have even been in that position. And yes, Kevin Durant was injured. Kyrie's a basket case, but regardless, like it's just that I put on him. Like he can't take these. We can't have these superstars and be in a playing game, and then we can't be in a playoff series. Now, yes, Celtics went on to the finals. They're a good team, but you still can't getting swept. Not even putting up a fight. Like that's ridiculous.
We'll see if Ime Udoka can work some magic. Let's switch boroughs over to Manhattan, as the Knicks are just as mid as we thought they were.
The mid three is in full effect, folks, and the Knicks again. Well, once again, that's not English. Okay, the Knicks again will have a end of the lottery or right outside the lottery first round pick, and they will stay in that mid spot, and they will just keep in this rotating cycle for the next.
I will say one bright spot for the Knicks, however, has been Obi Toppin. He's looking better and better every game. More confidence. It's a guy that you finally could trust the ball with, where 2 years ago you're like, oh my God, don't give it to Obi. Don't give it to Obi.
I mean, when you draft a guy in the top 10, obviously some guys take a few years to develop, but if he could turn into a solid role player for you guys, like that would be good for to get out of this midness that you're in. But it would be even better if you guys were just gonna win 30 games this year and get a top 3 pick and possibly get.
You think you have to win 30 games to get a top 3? You got to win like 20.
Yeah, good point. 20 to 25 games, get that top 3 pick and get top 2 pick, get Wembanyama or Scoot Henderson.
Well, they need Wembanyama now that you just paid Jalen Brunson to be your point guard. Scoot Henderson doesn't really.
If you get the second pick, you take the best player available.
Yeah, I guess you make Scoot a 2. The Knicks are in a tough spot. We'll put it that way. The Knicks are in a very, very tough spot,
to say the least.
They're trying. You try to find them fun to watch. They were fun to watch when they win, but when they lose, it's just so horrendous to watch that you're like, oh my goodness.
I mean, at what point do you get rid of Julius Randle? When do you get rid
today?
of him?
I'd get rid of him today.
I'd
let Obi Toppin start.
I would get rid of him. I would have gotten rid of him a year or 2 ago. Honestly, like you could have got a lot for him.
I'd trade him for Josh Primo at this point.
So let's switch gears again a little bit. Let's go to baseball. 2-2 World Series.
How do you get swept in the world? Unswept. How do you throw a no-hitter in the World Series? How do you come back from that?
I mean, this just shows you how crazy baseball is. Look at the night before, 2 nights before, where we see the Phillies explode. What, they hit 5 home runs, I think?
Yeah.
And then
Harper, Marsh, Bohm,
Hoskins.
Schwarber,
Oh, no.
Hoskins.
So 5?
Yeah, 5.
And then 2 nights later, they get no hit. That just shows you how insane baseball is. And honestly, no one believes me. You can go back. I said Phillies in 7. It looks like this series might be going to 7.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Phillies just because every time I root against the Phillies, they win. So I'm going to try something else this time and say the Phillies are going to win. But let me give you Yankee fans a little bit of a thing to root for. If the Phillies do win this, it'll be the 3rd time in 4 years that the World Series is won in Houston on a team that isn't Houston.
That's what I love.
Washington did it, Atlanta did it, and if Philly does it, it'll be in Houston, on Houston's dirt.
And do you know what all those teams actually have in common, Cole?
They're all National League East teams.
They're all in the NL East. And you know a team that's in that division that you didn't just name?
The Marlins?
Yes, but you know what? There's one other team also. The New York Metropolitans. That's got to sting a little bit.
It stings, but not as much as getting swept out of the playoffs.
That's a good point. The Astros are our daddies. I will not deny that.
They're your daddy, like your Don.
I actually just saw a report. Now, it is from Andy Martino, so take it with a grain of salt. But it said that the Mets will not be in on Aaron Judge.
That doesn't surprise me when the Mets said that they're going to prioritize Brandon Nimmo. Me, you know me. I'd rather spend the extra $3 million to bring in Trey Turner and just say, Jeff, good luck in left field, buddy. Starling Marte, you got center. Starling Marte actually had core muscle surgery today, which I just found out about. And Canna, your chicken arm can go to right field. We'll see what happens. Or maybe we'll put Jeff in right. I don't know. But I'd much rather have Trey Turner than Nimmo. I love Nimmo, don't get me wrong. But I am such a Trey Turner fan. He'll bat 300, steal 30, especially with these bigger bases. He's going to nab 80 bases next year.
He's also got power for a shortstop.
Yeah. He'd be your second baseman. He wouldn't be your shortstop.
Well, true. But that's an insane middle infield, to say the least. But center field is arguably the most valuable position on the field, and you're letting a really good center fielder go.
Yeah, but I have Starling Marte, who can also play center field.
Not anymore.
What makes you say... I think he can.
Think he's got it anymore.
The Mets have said that they can let him play center field. Why? He still has the speed.
Yeah.
What about Starling Marte says he can't play center field? He showed no signs of decline in his speed. He stole less bases for some reason, but showed
You
no
signed
decline.
him as a center fielder, and then he never played center field
Because I don't know why they went with Nimmo there.
because he's a better center fielder. I
But-
don't think Marte's got the range anymore. He's older. What is he, 34?
Yeah, I think he could do it. Not to mention they also have, if you don't bring back,
Jake Mangum.
it would be Jake Mangum time, and he's a defensive center fielder, so they'll have that. I'd rather do that. They also said they're going to prioritize Edwin Diaz. I would really, really like Edwin Diaz to come back.
Yeah, I'd say it's pretty necessary.
He's number 1 on my list. If you would ask me at the beginning of the year, I definitely would have said DeGrom. DeGrom's like number 3. No. To come back, he's number 2. Overall, 3. I want Diaz, Turner, DeGrom, Nimmo.
You value Turner over DeGrom. Very interesting.
Yes, because Turner is 30? DeGrom's 34.
Yeah, but you guys are. I mean, not saying that.
And what went quiet in the playoffs?
Not saying that.
Well, actually, no, the bats were okay in the game, too.
Not saying that Trey Turner isn't on your correct timeline, but you guys really are a win-now team, and losing Jacob DeGrom, a pitcher like that, could definitely set you back a little bit, don't you think? I mean, think about what your rotation would be:
Scherzer, Bassett, Carrasco, Peterson, McGill.
Yikes!
I mean, you say yikes, but I expect Peterson and McGill to take another step. Even though I don't see it from McGill as much as everyone does. I think Peterson's better than McGill.
I think they're both good bullpen arms. Very good bullpen arms.
I think Peterson's a legit number 4 starter for
I think
a
they're
baseball
both
team.
good, either really, really good bullpen arms or decent back end of rotation guys.
Well, here's what I'll say about Peterson, is that Peterson can't get past the fifth inning, right? There was another Met who had that problem years past, and he figured it out, and all of a sudden, I'm not saying Peterson is going to be this good, but if he can figure out the same problem that this Met had, Zach Wheeler, who could not get out of the 5th inning with the Mets now, is a Cy Young candidate, all-star with the Phillies. I think Peterson could be a really, really good number 3. Not all-star, a elite number 4, a good number 3. Bassett, I think he'd be crazy to turn down $19 million. I don't think he's going to see that anywhere else in the Mets qualifying offer. No one's going to take Scherzer's contract off your hands, nor will you look to dump Scherzer's contract if you lose DeGrom. And I don't think DeGrom is going to leave. Let me put that out there first. I think that the Mets are going to end up re-signing DeGrom. I think they're going to end up coming back with the same team and saying, look, we had 100-something wins. Don't worry. Trust the process. It's going to be fine. I think that Met fans will be a little iffy because they said they were going to go big game hunting, but I think that Diaz, DeGrom, and Nimmo will definitely be back. I think that's really what the outcome's going to be.
I mean, I kind of agree with one thing you said there where,
Only one?
You guys had a great regular season. You guys have I think on paper, you guys have a really, really, really good roster. But baseball, you just have to get hot at the right time. No one thought the Phillies were this good. And honestly, I'm going to call it now. The Phillies are not going to be this good next year. Well, I think they'll make the playoffs. And I think the NL East is going to be really competitive again between, obviously, those main 3 teams. Marlins are kind of
it's going to be dependent. Well, you got to think the Braves, as good as they're going to be, Dansby Swanson was a huge part of that team. And if he walks, it's a little hole they now have to fix.
You know who they have?
Vaughn Grisham.
The Braves are a factory, to say the least. But regardless, even still, let's say the Braves lose Swanson, they're still going to be a good team.
Well, what teams are really going to be looking for a shortstop besides the Yankees and the Braves?
I mean, I guess
Houston? Minnesota?
I don't think Houston. I guess I don't. It's a tough question, honestly.
Minnesota's definitely going to be looking for a shortstop if they can't bring Correa back.
That's true. Well, Correa's not coming. I don't think he's going to come back. He opted out. Why would he opt out?
Well, because he had a good season. He wants to make even more money.
I think he just wants really more of a long-term contract.
Probably. He took I think last year he didn't see what he wanted to see, so he took another prove-it deal.
I agree. And people don't talk about it just because he played in Minnesota, but look it up. Carlos Correa had an unbelievable season.
Yeah, but he's a cheater, so nobody cares.
He didn't cheat this season.
Who cares? He's still a cheater.
You know who also, it really hurts to see that the Astros lose Correa and then Jeremy Pena just destroys us in the playoffs. I went to Game 4, and it was 3-0. We have Nestor on the mound, and I'm feeling confident. Yankees' first 2 innings were hot. Crowd is going crazy.
You mean you watched it from TV, right?
Oh, no. I went to the game, cool, which hurts even more. And, yeah. And you see, or at least, and you just see him hit a 3-run bomb, and that's just, the crowd was silent. Not a word.
Yeah. Look, like I said, I'd love the Mets to bring in Turner. Rodon would be a nice piece to have, a lefty, because they don't really have a legit lefty besides David Peterson. Actually, Rodon would be a very nice piece for the Mets to bring in. Oh, you know who I want the Mets to bring in to be their DH?
Who?
Jock Peterson.
Really?
I want Jock.
Why?
Because I want a real power DH like Jock Peterson would be.
What about Vogelback?
Vogelback is great against righties. Right? Righties? Yes, because he's a lefty. Yes. He's not an everyday DH, and this whole 2-for-1 thing does not work. Darren Ruff needs to be kicked off the face of the earth. Send him to Shanghai to play with the Sharks for all I care. KBO. I think Jock Peterson would actually be a nice addition for this team. He reminds me of Kyle Schwarber, except he has less home runs and the average will be a little higher, but he's more home run first kind of guy, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's definitely not as good as Schwarber, but Jock Peterson has some pop. He's got some pop.
I know Schwarber hit 40-something home runs, but he only batted like 202. So I don't love Schwarber that much.
He was a very important piece to that Phillies offense, especially right now.
He's very important clubhouse-wise, too, which goes under the radar. But come on, buddy. Bat better than 202.
So what do you want to shift to now, Cole?
You know what I want to shift to now.
The Islanders.
They're surging. They take down the #1 Colorado Avalanche. They take down a #1 team, the Carolina Hurricane. They take down the New York Rangers. They take down a lower-level Chicago Blackhawks. They have another lower-level opponent in the St. Louis Blues tonight. I'm looking for the Islanders to take 5 in a row and really say, we're back. I think this 6 defensemen of Pelech Pulock, Romanov Dobson, Mayfield, and Aho/Salo are better than any of than the 6 core at the time than either one of the Eastern Conference Finals runs. And I know what you fans will say of Devon Toews and Nick Leddy, but I think Alexander Romanov and Noah Dobson right now are better than the Devon Toews and Nick Leddy we had at the time, which is why I see the Islanders as a legit team. And as much as I hate to make myself believe again, because all they're going to do is crush me again, I actually believe in the Islanders. You have a Vezina goalie in Ilya Sorokin, a Vezina level, I should say. You have the best backup in the league, who is a starter on playoff teams in Semyon Varlamov. And your defense is elite. And if the offense can keep putting up 3 or 4 goals, I don't see why this team doesn't win almost every night. It all depends on that offense. We know Matt Barzal is not a $9.15 million man, even though he's paid to be. He has no goals in the first 10 games of the season, which is ridiculous. Brock Nelson, who didn't score much in Brocktober, scored 2 in Brockvember already, but his assists are up, so he has over 11 points in the first 2 games, or I think he has 11. Anders Lee has been a goal-scoring machine on the power play. And I'm really looking for the lower-level guys to contribute, like a J.G. Pajot has none. We need more out of Pajot. You need more out of Anthony Beauvillier. And you need more out of Casey Cizikas. And the whole centers, all 4 centers, I should say, in general, you need more out of. The centers are the problem for the Islanders right now. They need more goals. But it doesn't matter, because winning is winning. Let's go Islanders. What do you have to say about that?
I'm very happy to see the Islanders succeeding. And all Islanders fans' mental health in a good spot right now.
It's not usually in a good spot, so that's fun. In Lane and Lou, we trust, I guess. It'll be interesting to see. The Islanders are going to have about $8 million at the deadline. It'll be interesting to see what they bring in, if they bring in anything. I wouldn't mind seeing Zach Parise or Matt Martin relegated to the bench if it means you bring in a real deal scorer to play with Matt Barzal, like a Vladimir Tarasenko or even a David Pastrnak, who I know Boston is surging, but his contract is up at the end of the year, and there's been no talks. Yeah.
How are my Avalanche doing?
They're the same as always. They win, but they fell to the Islanders, which is all that matters. They gave up a 3-goal lead to the Islanders. The Islanders scored 5 unanswered.
They can have this one. It's okay. We can do it.
Can they have the next one too?
As long as it's not in the playoffs.
I would take it right now if the Islanders met the Avalanche in the playoffs. If you told me Islanders Avalanche in the playoffs, would you take it? I'd say yes. You know what that means? No. Stanley Cup Finals. Because the Avalanche are in the West and the Islanders.
I know.
They meet. Yeah, they meet up. It means it's the finals.
Yeah, and obviously the Avalanche would win that. Yeah.
No.
Yes.
No.
McKinnon would just take his stick and score all those goals.
That's where he'd shove his stick?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Because I will give the Avalanche a little credit. They did not have their captain, Gabriel Landeskog, who is obviously a huge part of that team. But still, you blow a 3-goal lead and give up 5 unanswered is ridiculous.
I agree 100%.
Yes.
That just can't happen.
Just can't happen.
All right, I'm gonna shift the gear a little bit
to the Black Bears,
to the National Football League. I would just like
the Nashville Football League. You just say
the National Football League.
Why did it sound like Nashville?
I would just like to call out.
You sure you don't want to talk about National League Lacrosse?
I'm sure, Cole. But
okay.
Thank you. maybe a few minutes at the
It
end.
was actually the National Lacrosse League. I messed up, but okay.
So I would just like to call out a few people right now. I don't know if they're listening, but my good friends, Keisha Vudeshi, Scott Yanover, Alex Scher, and Benjamin Sweeney. So two of those fans are Giants fans, and two of them are Jets fans. And I just wanted to let you all know that, as expected and as I called
Before you say it, I still believe in the Giants. I know the Jets are fakers, but I believe the Giants will make the playoffs.
as I called in last week, you guys are frauds. The Giants got creamed by the Seattle Seahawks, who have looked solid this year, but at the end of the day, there's the Seattle Seahawks being led by Geno Smith with a non-existent defense, and you got absolutely destroyed.
Well, the Giants don't have any receivers right now.
The Giants beat the Packers and the Ravens with no receivers, so there's no reason why they couldn't have beaten the Seattle Seahawks, who are an extremely beatable football team, and I personally think could collapse at any given moment. Now,
We both agree where the Giants are going to go for a receiver, right?
well, it depends what you're thinking.
I'm thinking of a reunion.
Ugh, an Odell reunion would be interesting. He wants the money though. That's the issue.
What's the risk in giving him number one receiver money for just one season?
And they just traded Kadarius Toney to the Kansas City Chiefs, and instantly he comes off the injury report. So I find that a little funny, but that's just normal Giants mismanagement. But now moving to the other New York team, the New York Jets.
All right, they're frauds.
The New York Jets they were looking good. Breece Hall was simply that entire offense, and Breece Hall unfortunately tore his ACL, crushing all fantasy owners' dreams, including myself. And the Jets looked absolutely terrible. They had a pick six, called back, definitely changed the game because they would have been up 17-3, and then Zach Wilson just throwing the ball. It looked like to him everyone must have had a green jersey on because he was throwing it to everyone but Jets receivers. I'm really starting.
He was seeing ghosts out there.
He was seeing ghosts. He gave us Sam Darnold vibes. I'm not gonna lie. And this is really concerning if I'm a Jets fan because now we're halfway through his second season, Zach Wilson, and he really hasn't. He's showing flashes. He made a sick on the run throw to Garrett Wilson, and he does honestly an unbelievable job of getting out the pocket. But then once he's out the pocket, he just makes stupid and careless decisions.
Well, I'm going to tell you what I tell everyone with young players. Give him 3 years. Give him next season to prove it.
I agree.
I don't think the Jet fans should be sounding alarms just because Zach Wilson has had a little bit of an off season or that he hasn't been what they thought he was going to be. It takes more than 1 year. And remember, he's not, he didn't have what some of the other premier quarterbacks in the league, say an Aaron Rodgers or a Tom Brady or I'm trying to think of one more.
Mahomes.
Or a Jimmy Garoppolo had, where they started behind a real deal quarterback. Zach Wilson came in and said, "You're the guy. You're going to start. There's nobody to show you the way. Go out there and figure it out." Whereas Tom Brady was behind. I don't remember who he was behind, but I'll go to Aaron Rodgers was behind Brett Favre. Brett Favre was like, "Do this." He got hurt, and Aaron Rodgers was like,
Drew Bledsoe, by the way.
Was I wrong? It wasn't Brett Favre?
No, Tom Brady was behind.
Oh, either way, it was like, "Do this." Okay, I'm hurt. Go do that. All right, I did it better than you. Let's get rid of you.
I agree with you 100%. QBs I would give him 3 years. We see Josh Allen. He was not good his rookie year. He made improvements his second year, and then his third year he really hit his stride. But the problem here is Zach Wilson he's not showing improvements from last year. He's not doing things better. He's not getting a little bit better, even though he might still be struggling, but he's not getting better. He's having moments in games or quarters in games where he looks good, but then he just falls apart. He threw 3 picks last week to literally not even close to receivers. It was actually embarrassing to watch.
When they had the Russell Wilson comp, he's really taking that to heart.
I watched Scott Yanover rip his hair out of his head and then blow a snot rocket into a tissue.
Did Patty Mahomes start behind someone, or did they push him into the job?
Mahomes started behind the Alex Smith.
It was
sat an entire season, didn't see a snap, and then came in and threw for 5,000 yards in technically his first season of actually playing football. Justin Herbert was not supposed to be the starter, and they got lucky.
I love Justin Herbert.
They got lucky that the doctor couldn't figure out Tyrod Taylor's lungs and really screwed him over. But we got a caller.
All right, caller. It's a little late, but what's your name and where are you from?
My name is Drew Bledsoe. I'm from Foxborough. I just want to ask you guys quickly, you love to talk about which New York team is going to be the next champion. You've talked about that in the past. Mets and Yankees, both very competitive. Giants, Jets, fun. But in hockey, the Rangers, the Islanders, the Devils. But really I wanted to ask you guys, what about Buffalo? Between the Bills and even the Sabres having a good start, what do you think is the next champion coming out of the New York area?
That's a great question. Everyone forgets about Buffalo. The Buffalo Bills are a legit contender. Josh Allen is going to keep that team a contender for years to
But we
come.
also forget that there was a championship last year. The Watertown Wolves took the Federal Prospect Commissioner Cup. Watertown, New York won it all. I see Watertown. Oh, you want to talk about professional? Oh, sorry, I got sidetracked.
The Bills are legit. I think the Bills
it's tough
are the
in
most
hockey.
legit team to win
I think the
win
Bills.
a championship.
Yeah, and to the Sabres. Go Sabres. They've been tanking for what, 10 years now? It's finally coming around. Rasmus Dahlin, Owen Power, Alex Tuck, Peyton Krebs. Go Sabres. You need a real goalie, but all I can say is go Sabres.
I'll say this, just switching to the other side of football. I think the trade of Stephon Diggs that they made a few years ago for their first-round pick that they gave to the Vikings, which they ended up taking Justin Jefferson, I think that's probably as fair of a trade as we're ever going to see, because those are two of the top 5 receivers in the league, both. And we see Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen, they have amazing connection. Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson, unbelievable connection. It worked out really well for both teams.
2 things real quick. Did you see after the trade deadline, the whole Trey Lance trade draft pick thing where they got like Tyreek Hill and who was the other guy?
Tyreek
Chubb.
Hill, Bradley Chubb. And
there was one more, and it was
it was Jalen, the pick that
Waddle.
Jalen Waddle.
And it was like, what did you get? I got Trey Lance. Ooh.
Yeah, Dolphins have done it. They turned those picks into Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and Bradley Chubb. Talk about an unbelievable job. Now, just imagine. I mean, this is gonna cause controversy because some people think I'd rather Tua over Herbert, but I don't really think it's even close if I'm being completely honest.
I'd rather Herbert.
But imagine they just took Herbert, and now you have Tyreek. If you put Herbert into a situation, he's better than Tua by a lot, in my opinion. And Herbert's already in a good situation.
Except Herbert's brain would be just as fried as Tua's is right now. And last thing, did you see Owen Power? Yes, last night. Owen Power had the sickest deke I've ever seen. Well, one of them I've ever seen on Casey DeSmith and the Penguins. He faked a slap shot and then passed it right to an open, I want to say, Olafson? Look it up when you get a chance. Well, we have about 2 minutes left out of time. Anything you want to tell the people at home before we go?
So I think we have 2 more episodes till Thanksgiving.
Yeah, and then the Thanksgiving episode is the World Cup episode.
Oh yeah, we will be bringing in our good friend Casey Videshi for the World Cup episode
during the week of Thanksgiving when we're not here.
Exactly.
Yes.
But thank you to everyone for listening.
Oh, I have to do this part?
What you always do.
I thought I'd give you the experience. Whatever. All right. For the Spitballers, thank you so much for listening. We have nothing else for you. We'll see you again next week. Have a good week. Love you, Pop Pop.